Hello.
Hello.
We're so happy to have you guys here. I know y'all have been here for the programming, the past couple days, but we're ready to hear from y'all. So, talking about what is influence, what does it mean? I'd love to start by hearing a little bit about y'all. Tell me about yourself and what you do and kind of how you got to where you are.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Samyra. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, the best city in the world. Dallas is cute too, though. Very cute.
We love no.
I moved to LA 2 years ago. That's when I started doing content creation full time. And I started on TikTok and have since, grown over to Instagram. But also I am a recording artist. So it's been great to see both of those worlds blend and intersect.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm a culture writer at Rolling Stone, which is a very fancy way to say if it's online or on a screen, I probably write about it.
Yeah, and you're kind of on the cutting edge of bringing people that maybe not well known or a household name to light. So talk me through that process a little bit. I mean, you kind of navigate that for Rolling Stone, but also culture in general.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things is kind of seeing a creator right before their rise. Mm-hmm. And I love being able to say, oh my goodness, these people have something so great, so magical, and it makes their fans want to connect with them. And I want to know why that is before, the 3 million, the 5 million, the 10 million, the brand deals. I want to see you when you're at your very start and kind of get a glimpse into what your world looks like and what world you want to see.
Yeah. So as a creator yourself, I mean, building influence is something that takes time. What has your journey been as you are well known and you have stayed so true to who you are and you have an audience that loves you for that. So what's that journey been like for you as you've kind of built influence?
Yeah, I think in my personal experience, a lot of the beginning of my journey was me just doing what I wanted to do. I would sing a little, be a little funny, talk to people about fat phobia when they would try to, say certain things, project onto me in my comment section. And I think that, being true to who I was and people being able to see that genuinely through me. And I like to say that I don't follow trends, I create them.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important in this very saturated market as well, staying true to who you are and, being able to, be a leader in spaces.
Because you weren't a leader at the beginning, right? You were trying something out and it stuck.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like? People loved your content and you were going viral and you're like, oh my gosh, like I have this pressure to lead kind of this segment of social, right?
Yes. So
it's pressure.
In the very beginning of my creator journey, I was actually working full time. I graduated from college in 2021 into the pandemic. Woo! And I was working remotely for a company, and at that same time, in that first 7 months of the company, was when I started TikTok, and in 7 months, I gained 1 million followers and was able to also quit my job, my first job, and I said, Mommy, Daddy, I promise I'm doing something good. And they're like, you always making TikToks. I was like, yes, but it's good. They didn't really understand it. It was something new. But, of course, they are so supportive and, they see me being able to express myself freely and share what I want with the world and all that I am. So
amazing. So you guys put together at Rolling Stone the most influential creators list, right? Yeah. So I think sometimes the word influencer can be off-putting to some. Most people in the room and watching are true content creators. Talk me through y'all's process of identifying who is influential. I know it's a mix of both tangible and intangible things, right? There's an intersection of art and science.
I would love to say that every morning I wake up and there's a ranking in my head, but there's not. I'm really excited this year. One of the things we focus on is a lot of times with content creating, people are saying, well, I can rank you by followers. But really, one of the things that we try to do at Rolling Stone is try to figure out that perfect mix of what influence shows up as. And for us, that means, talking to creators themselves. Who are some of their peers that they consider really influential? And then from that, you kind of get a good sense of who's coming up a lot in these conversations. And then we're also obviously looking at engagement rate and also the trend cycle, but specifically not just people who are following trends, but who's starting them, who's creating them organically, and who are people, excited to see, who's opening their apps and saying, this is who I'm looking for, not just letting an algorithm guide them.
Are there certain kind of passion pillars that you guys are seeing, like music or, photography, that really like are thriving and there's a really big a bunch of creators going into a certain area and you're noticing them more?
I think the best part about creator culture is that if there's something that you're passionate about, there's probably someone who's making videos about it and wants to tell you more. So the best part is that every pillar is growing. As much as we see content creation becoming a bigger and bigger part of culture, you're going to see each pillar gaining followers, gaining influence, and that's where you kind of look in and see, okay, who's doing what where.
So we know a lot of the programming is about the direction of technology innovation, and we know AI is kind of the future. So what are your thoughts, both of your thoughts, on AI's role for content creators, and how do you think AI is going to play a tool for both creators and then people who are kind of analyzing creators?
Yeah, Samyra, do you want to go from
there? Yeah, I'd be great to start. I mean, I'm happy to start. I think that AI is an incredible tool that we have, but I think that, AI is as biased as its creators, and we do live in a world full of biases, and so I do hope that over time, as AI gets more advanced, that it can diversify and be more inclusive so that when I type in things that define myself, I can get as fully fledged as a picture as someone who doesn't look like me as well. And I think that will be very beneficial in the content creation process, or even in the music video process. You can kind of, scope out, like, if, I want to do a video in an elevator, they got a shark in a tank on the left-hand side, and maybe I can't see it, but AI can. And I think that, that's the beauty in the creative space, and having it bring those things to light in a new way.
I love that you actually said biases, because one of my favorite Rolling Stone features ever is in our magazine, and it was called The Women Who Warned Us About AI. I was talking to programmers and bioethicists who basically had concerns about AI way before it became a buzzword. So that's always really interesting, because when we talk about kind of science and things like that, we always want to be careful of like what we're introducing. But one of the coolest things about AI, I mean, for the people out there who are creators, there's a reason why TikTok is so popular and why Instagram is so popular, because it came at the same time that you had technological advancement. So for me, can everyone remember when subtitling was the worst thing you've ever done in your life? And you're like, you're 20 minutes into a video and you're like, someone help me. I don't want to do this anymore. And now, I mean, even in the past year, like subtitling has become more of an automatic thing. And I think AI, when you said it, it's a great tool to use. So what I'm really interested in, instead of like, all of these conversations about AI is going to replace artists, I'm interested in seeing how people can use AI to supplement, the creative genius that's already within them.
Yeah.
So tell us about struggles that you might face, Samyra. Struggling being someone who people look up to, and also still sticking with your craft and doing exactly what you want and how you want to do it. I mean, you have an audience that talks to you and you talk back, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting because, your content is given to more than just your followers, It is shown to a plethora of people, some who may like you, some who may not like you. And there are many people who, lots of times, my videos have landed on the wrong side of things, as we like to say. I mean, many people who don't want to see me, and who every day try to discourage me from speaking up. And, that's what makes me speak up even more. Because I personally like to think of influence in like 3 different pillars. Typically, we see things that are entertaining, educational, or empowering. And those are not mutually exclusive by any means at all. But I think that in doing kind of all 3 of those things and seeing that if I can hit those buckets, regardless of what anyone is saying, I know that I am entertaining someone, I know that I am educating someone, and I know that I am empowering someone, and that allows me to keep going and knowing that I am truly being influential with my platform.
What about the negative side of the internet, right? Like, that's got to be tough. How do you handle, hate or negative pressure that your audience may put on you?
Yeah, so the most amount of hate that the first time I got a lot of hate recently was last year. I posted a video of myself going shopping in a mall, and I actually couldn't shop because the mall didn't have any plus sizes in the stores, and I videotaped myself going to different stores like, hi, do you have plus sizes at this location? Do you have plus sizes here? Do you have plus sizes there? Do you have plus sizes there? And the comments, everything is in that comment section, and listen to Drew's podcast if you haven't. But I think staying away from the comment section. Yeah. I know that there are lots of tools now, that TikTok and Instagram have introduced where they automatically filter out words, or you can filter it, but I think that is such a great tool to have, because we are not supposed to be receiving like so much feedback about ourselves. Like that is just not natural. Every single day you're being told something. And so as much as you can filter that out, so you can focus on who's supporting you instead of who's not, I think that that is a great tool to use to combat hate and let you keep going, because it is very draining at times to see that constant negative feedback about yourself. And so to be able to place that positivity back in your comment section, even in your feed, who you're following, I think that that is something that's really great.
So with your Rolling Stone most influential creator list, you guys kind of build a relationship with those creators, right? You have to do a deep analysis. What have you seen happen once they kind of get on that list, and how do their careers kind of flourish after that?
Well, I think, so this is the year of our inaugural list. So I think one of the things that it would be disingenuous if I'm like, you guys get on the list, you're good. You know what I mean? You never have to work a day in your life again. I like to say that the list and most of our coverage at Rolling Stone, it's not just about saying, okay, we want you guys to be more famous than you already are. But one of my favorite things about influence is, one, being able to pat someone out on the back and say, hey, I see the hard work you're doing. This is really important and we're really proud of you. And also another thing is to kind of introduce creators to another, audience, because it may be one thing to say, like, here are the creators that we all know, but like if there's a mom in Mississippi who's 45 and she's like, what are you watching on your phone? I want to be able to say, here's a tangible way that you can see what's going on in a field that you might know nothing about.
Yeah, I mean, it's about education, right? Like exposing people to people that they may not have found just by scrolling or For You pages, right? So talk to me a little bit about algorithm and how you guys think algorithm impacts you as a creator, you as someone who analyzes creators.
Yeah, so just as I spoke about how there are biases in AI, of course, there's also biases in the algorithm that will also affect who we see more. I think that sure, people have influence, but people are also given influence. And who's given that influence, because it's dependent on this algorithm, it is a big bias, which is why, Rolling Stone's approach to their creator list in trying to, go beyond the amount of followers. Because, again, it's a very inequitable space because of the foundations of it. And so I think that it's important to think beyond the algorithm, because you might not always see everybody, but yeah.
I have so many accounts. Like, you would not believe. I have so many accounts, because one of the things that I think is really important as a reporter is that a lot of times people can see a culture space and say, okay, if you're here, these are the only people who matter. And I never want that to be the case. So what I'm always trying to do is I look and I curate and I say, hey, if my account is leaning towards something, let's go to another one. On every social media platform, I have a ton of accounts just to make sure that an algorithm isn't pushing me towards a certain way, and I also kind of get a different chance. But it also means that I have to scroll like I'm a different person. So I'm thinking about, okay, on this account, what am I pausing at? What am I looking at the comments? Like, what am I sending to other people or even to myself as a reminder? And that has become probably the best way for me to get like an overall view.
It's a lot of management.
Yeah, it's a lot of accounts.
That's why I get paid.
I mean, we have talked about like platform diversification, the past couple of days. So is that something that you focus on? Like, you curate certain content for certain channels, and or do you kind of do one size fits all content that you can put anywhere?
So when Snapchat was speaking yesterday, they spoke about how very, fluid, like what you wouldn't show on other platforms, kind of like everything about your life works on Snapchat. Something like that might not necessarily work on Instagram. And so I think you always have to keep in mind what works for the platform if you would like to grow on that platform.
Yeah.
I find that like TikTok is also that more relaxed feeling. But Snapchat, like, I could literally sit there, prop the phone up, make my whole matcha latte. I could go pick some lavender from the lavender field, strain it, make the syrup, put it in the cup, and everybody would watch it. Because that is the essence of Snapchat, which I love about Snapchat. And I think that as a creator, you do have to keep those things in mind to, do well on platforms, but also just have fun.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a little bit more structure and thought that's put behind it, when it is something that you do full time, and I think that also comes with with time and doing. A lot of things that I learned by doing. Even the types of content that I post or what type of editing I do on different platforms. It's all by doing. Like, oh, when I posted that this time, that didn't do well here. Okay, well, what if I did it here? Okay, it did better here. Why did it do that? And I think you kind of have to keep an eye on the ground about how things do.
Yeah, true trial and error, right?
Yeah.
All right. So from a higher level, CT, what do you think about the creator economy and culture in general? I know culture is a loaded word, right? But what's the direction you're seeing? Where are the creators going when it comes to culture and celebrity and things like that?
If I knew, I would be making way more money than I am right now. But I will say one of the best things I see about creators is that we're kind of heading towards a crossroads. I know if you guys seen in the past couple of months, there's been a lot of interactions between creators and celebs at different award shows, on red carpets, just in general. And we've already proven, the creator economy is past its watershed moment. We're here, we're at a Samsung conference,
right,
talking about creators. This is not a new thing anymore. So I think the crossroads coming up is kind of trying to be is this going to be something that falls back into the backlight? We're always gonna have these actors and actresses, and are people just gonna be using the creator economy as a jumpstart to get them into these rooms? Or is this gonna be something that's gonna supersede, your regular stars, your soap opera stars, your movie stars? This is something that's going to be bigger than that. And I personally am really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, if I may add,
Please,
I think that we're going to see a lot more pivots into creators having their own brands or doing brand collabs. We've seen a lot of creator podcasts now. That's very popular. Creators will become very popular. Then they have a podcast where they have another medium that they're on. But I'm really excited about the brand aspect. I would love to have my own clothing brand.
Put it in we're going to,
hey.
Manifest.
Anyone watching?
Buy my clothes. But yeah, I think that's really something that I'm excited to see, how people pivot their online passions into their own brands, because they already are their own personal brands. So excited to see drinks or, sunglasses. Monet just did sunglasses with Desi, which is incredible. And so I think we will continue to see many more iterations of that, coming off platform.
Yeah, I think we're seeing podcasts a lot. I know we have some people here that have started podcasts, and I think it's such a great journey for people to understand a different side of someone's story, and get a little deeper other than what you may see on social. So, Samyra, what's next for you? You are just amazing, and your content is so good. If you guys have not checked her out, you have to. She is the most entertaining, just wonderful person. What's next for you? What do you have coming up?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have more music coming out. As I said, I am a recording artist, and music is a passion of mine. I'm a classically trained singer, and so music is near and dear to my heart. From New Orleans, city of jazz, city of soul. And so you can expect me to be putting out a lot more music. You can also still expect me to be fighting for size inclusivity, because I got to keep looking good.
Yes.
And I need to do that. And so, I'm just excited to see where, the journey takes me. 2 years ago, if you would have said I'd be sitting on this stage right now, I would have said, oh, what you talking about? And it's just been incredible, to also have the spontaneity of it. And not be able to plan things. I never know what's going to come, but I'm ready when the opportunities do come.
I love it. CT, last question for you. This is the full circle moment. What is influence? How, if people want to have an influence on their audience or an influence in their industry, what should they be doing? What are those steps?
I think one of the biggest steps is, it's going to sound so cliche, but it's really being true to yourself, because if you're watching content, you can tell when someone's not having a good time.
Totally.
And I think influence is being able to have a passion about something and to convince other people to care about it as well. And I think once you can do that, it's, the followers are good. Yeah, the brand deals are good. But if you have a passion about something and you're able to share it with others in a way that's really meaningful, I feel like that's the best feeling in the world.
People can feel it, yeah.
If I may add.
Girl, go ahead.
I think that influence has, of course, existed for a very long time, whether that be good or bad. If you believe in good or bad. For some people, that's up for debate. But I think that now we are in the age where it can be elevated. And as I said before, people are given influence, and we can really continue to sit and think about, who we're giving influence to, and, what that tells about, our society. But again, I think that influence has existed for a very long time, even though the connotation is different now. I think that, thinking about it in a more holistic sense really helps to break down what exactly it is, because we've seen many great influential people. And like I said, a little trifling ones too, but it's okay.
Period. Love it. Samyra, CT, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.